First of all, I want to say that I'm both honored and humbled to be able to, as a non-academic, to be able to present at this wonderful conference. So thank you. I really wanted to join in person, but I got snowed in Texas. It's a lame excuse, but there it is. I'm going to be talking about some metrics on self-censorship by faculty of themselves at MIT. Now, nobody really would argue that MIT is not a STEM university, but let me give you some additional information to show you just how much it is a technical institute masquerading as a major university. If you look at the student population there in the upper left, over half the students are majoring in engineering. The next largest slug are students who are majoring in science, in those two schools. The next major set of students are in the management school, then followed by architecture, and then by economics. So while those aren't core STEM disciplines in the classic way, they're at least numerate, and we view them as fellow travelers. And you can see our humanities department, the number of students managing in humanities are a few lost souls at MIT. The faculty shows a similar distribution. Predominantly engineering, next science, then management, then architecture, and then we have economics, and then humanities faculty is a little bit larger than their than the majors. It's kind of an indication of our problem that the last two chairs of the faculty at MIT have come from the School of Humanities. Not from a STEM discipline. So why would that be happening? Who knows? But it could be because all those professors are heavily involved in the real business of MIT that Scott referred to earlier. In the upper right-hand quadrant, you see that sponsored research is 45% or so of MIT's annual operating revenues. And as Marcia pointed out, that work is not done by the faculty per se. It's done by a lot of it by graduate students. So at MIT, MIT's graduate student population is 60% of the student body. There's also another group of postdocs and paid researchers who are about as large as the blue wedge of undergraduates. So it's a large research machine. So that's some background in MIT, some background on the MIT Free Speech Alliance. We were formed in 2021 after the Carlson lecture cancellation of Dr. Dorian Abbott. It's funded and managed, led by alumni. We're completely independent. We're not affiliated with MIT. We engage in free speech advocacy focused only on MIT. We comment on activities at MIT that deal with free speech. We make recommendations. We promote causes. Were anybody to be canceled, we would take up their defense. And we also sponsor culture change events on campus, debates and conferences, which some of you may have seen. And we have 1,200 members today, still growing, mainly MIT graduates. So there's only been a few overt acts of cancel culture at MIT going back. Professor Dick Linson is one of the more noteworthy scientists who was canceled because he had some differences with the climate science orthodoxy in the 2000s. The chaplain at MIT was dismissed over conciliatory comments he tried to make after the George Floyd killing in 2020. And then, of course, there was the Abbott cancellation in 2021. So it doesn't take a lot of but the MIT faculty also see all the things going on at your campuses that we've been talking about today. And what they have learned from these incidents at MIT is that the administration and their academic leadership are not going to defend them, so they self-censor. Let's look at how that breaks out. So in 2021, in the immediate aftermath of the Abbott cancellation, MIT leadership was completely taken aback by the blowback. And they held some town hall meetings to try to gaslight the faculty about what had happened. About 160 faculty members attended, which at MIT is a pretty large faculty meeting historically. And for some reason, the chair polled them, and they asked two questions. Do you feel on an everyday basis that your voice or the voices of your colleagues are constrained? And 56% answered yes. And then the other question was, are you worried that your voice or your colleagues' voices are increasingly in jeopardy? And 78% responded yes there. A year later, we commissioned FIRE to conduct an MIT institutional health study, which was pretty comprehensive, but it included a survey of faculty of 195 faculty, that's 18%. It was a formal survey. There was a lot of questions of the faculty about both their inclination to shut down speakers as well as their concern about being canceled themselves. And two questions I pulled out to highlight. One of them was, will the administration defend controversial speech? And at that time, 38% said not very or not at all likely. And another question, are you very or extremely likely to self-censor yourself in meetings with? And the answer was 26% yes with meeting with the administration, 24% yes in faculty department meetings, and 28% yes in meeting with students. So one more data point just to show you a trend. In 2024, the MIT faculty themselves independently started conducting a weekly poll called the Pulse of the Faculty. And how they do it is faculty members anonymously submit questions. The faculty members anonymously vote on which questions will be polled. So the ones that are upvoted the highest will end up perhaps as the poll question the next week. And every week they run a poll of the most highly upvoted question. And in April, they ran a poll on the question, are you concerned about retaliation when you speak your mind? 29% of the faculty participated in this poll, which was then and still the highest level of faculty participation in this Pulse of the Faculty poll. 37% said they were concerned about retaliation from students, 27% concerned about retaliation from the MIT administration, 42% concerned about retaliation from senior academic leadership, those are deans and department heads, 29% concerned about retaliation from colleagues. Overall, because some people had multiple responses, 68% of the respondents indicated that they were concerned about retaliation for speaking their mind. Topic unspecified. Now, that's not a pretty picture because, for all the reasons that have been talked about in earlier presentations, having faculty self-censor is going to ultimately degrade the process of knowledge and truth seeking. And, to be perfectly frank, MIT is trying to be at the top of the game, and these things don't help. But there's good news. There are positive developments because the faculty, I think I would disagree with some of the prior statements that the faculty members themselves are the cause of the problem. I don't think that's true at MIT, and they're starting to fill their oats. So in November 2021, a month after the Abbott cancellation, 159 faculty members wrote an open letter to MIT protesting that cancellation and calling for MIT to have a free speech policy, which it had not had up until that time. Why should it? A year later, the MIT faculty adopted the Statement on Freedom of Expression, which largely mirrors the Chicago principles. On the other hand, at that same meeting, a third of the faculty voted against its adoption. 2 months later, the brand new installed president of MIT adopted that statement as MIT-wide policy, so it didn't just apply to the faculty. A year later, she also created a faculty-led committee, which is still part of the administration, to formulate free speech policies and rules, and they're about to finish their first report. You may or may not have heard in April 2024, MIT leadership, president, provost, all the academic deans ended the use of DEI statements as compelled speech for all faculty hiring and promotion. Hasn't quite taken hold yet in every department, but the message was clear. And then in October of this past year, MIT formed their own independent Council on Academic Freedom, modeled on the same body that has been in operation at Harvard for a couple of years. So we're optimistic that we can restore the culture of academic freedom and free inquiry at MIT, part of the strength that MIT's reputation has been built on, by working with the faculty and with our president, who that's Sally Kornbluth, who attended our last conference. So there's room for optimism, and we're at MIT trying to restore this academic freedom culture to serve hopefully as an example and an inspiration to the rest of the STEM faculties at other universities. Thank you.